The sun's coming up, the drinks are hot, and now it's time for our first cup. Today, Bob Ross was right. There have been a couple of changes this episode and last to the video and the audio. And those changes, they're subtle. But I want to tell you that they're the result of happy accidents. Happy accidents being one of Bob Ross's greatest gifts to the world. Now, Bob Ross is what happens when you take a Vietnam veteran with a pleasing baritone and give him 15 or so seasons of a painting show called The Joy of Painting. Every episode, Ross would go through and he would paint some sort of a scene, walking you through the colors, through some of the techniques. But one of the things that was really powerful about watching Ross, especially when I was a kid, was that he never made a mistake. There were only happy accidents. Like if something came out on the palette or on the canvas the way he didn't want it to, he just kind of adapted, rolled with it, found beauty in it anyway. I feel like I'm really lucky that I got that lesson drummed into my head in that pleasing way early on, because it permeates just about everything that I do now. These videos, for instance, first cup, this is the third version of the show. I've continuously iterated through every version, but even now, the stuff like the lighting, the way that I'm mic'd, where I'm sitting, how I edit, how I react when I blow up my timeline because I'm learning a new piece of software, right? It's all happy accidents. Everything ends up pivoting. Everything ends up being turned into something better and more beautiful. Same way with my cooking too, actually. Some of the recipes that I have that are nearest and dearest to my heart are the result of happy accidents, right? Cooking actually, especially, it's this interesting thing, right? Where if you always follow the recipe exactly, if you cut out all room for error, quote unquote, or experimentation, then you'll never see that things can be iterated or improved. Ross kind of very deftly got around that when he talked about happy accidents, right? There's a lot of people who want to follow the recipe exactly every time, and what's that they say about doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result? Yeah. And you might be thinking, okay, Ian, well, like happy accidents are great for making first cup episodes or for cooking tri-tip. Cool. Tri-tip season's almost here. What about stuff that really just messes up? What about stuff that just sucks or ends up being painful? I've got an example for that too. I've been throwing punches for 30 years, right? If you've never learned how to punch, quick lesson. You want most of the force in a punch to come through your center knuckle. Yeah, right? Ideally, it's like usually your center and your pointer finger. That's where your knuckles are. And you want these knuckles because especially the center knuckle is most in line with the bones of your arm. It transfers the force most efficiently, right? Now, what transfers the force least efficiently is hitting with the knuckle of your pinky, right? It's furthest off center. If you strike with the knuckle of your pinky, you run the risk of torquing your wrist or kind of transferring more of the force into yourself than into your target. Like I said, I've been throwing punches for 30 years. And I got distracted the other day and ended up hitting a punch very poorly with like my outer knuckle here, my pinky knuckle. And you can kind of see in the video, it's a little bit swollen. And it hurt. That was not what I intended. But you know what it's given me? Is that I am a lot more aware of how much my pinky is used in all sorts of manual dexterity tasks. How it's used in my day-to-day, from everything from mousing to cooking to, well, everything else you use your pinky for, which it turns out is a lot. I don't think I would be as aware of this stuff if I hadn't hit that target awkwardly, the way that I did. Even with the pain. It's a happy accident. And I think that's one thing that we all really need to remind ourselves of about accidents, right? They're called accidents. They're not called intentionals. And if we want to characterize them as a mistake, that's fine, but there's a lot of baggage that comes along with that term. I don't think any of us need to be carrying extra baggage right now. I think we can all give ourselves a little bit more space when something happens that we didn't necessarily intend. When we have an accident, we can be happy about it, even if it hurts. I don't know, maybe you should just go and watch some episodes of The Joy of Painting so you can find out for yourself the ways in which Bob Ross was right. But please remember that no matter what you've heard or what I've said, death comes for us all, and a closed mouth never gets fed. Take care of yourselves. We'll speak again soon.